Hey guys, what's up? Thank you so much for coming back to check me out yet a mother freaking again. And I'm back, mother effer. Yes. All right, so I feel like it's necessary to do this video. I'm obviously I'm going down my cheat sheet, okay? Because I would like to stay on track and I want to deliver everything that's intended to be delivered in this video effectively. So, okay. If you can tell by the title, you know, I'm about to go back and give y'all some deets, get a little interpersonal, just a little bit, not too much. What prompted me to do this Q&A regarding celibacy is because lately I have been getting a lot of questions surrounding the Q&A that I'm going to give you guys today. I really chose to go public with my celibacy journey because a lot of people, you know, we're exposed to a lot when it comes to sex. Our children are exposed to it, unfortunately. You know, our older children, it's literally everywhere. You can't even like run from it if you wanted to. You feel me? So with that being said, you know, me back on Facebook, I'm always exposed to people expressing sex. Even on Instagram, you know, sex is everywhere. So why can I not express how I feel about being celibate and, you know, taking that ride and sharing my journey with other people who may be interested or going through the same journey as I? Being that it's broadcasted everywhere, I feel like we need to make celibacy broadcasted everywhere, okay? Like that's just where I'm at in this whole thing. And that's why I chose to go public with my celibacy journey, because you never know who's watching, who's paying attention, and who you could be helping. So anywho, before we get into the deeds, I have my wine. Get your wine, your liquor, your Dutchess. I don't know what you do, but I want you comfortable and I want you feeling it, okay? I'm sipping, so sipping tea with me, okay? For starters, we're going to start with question number 1. Why are you celibate? So that's weird. But I chose celibacy because I pretty much had no other choice. In my last relationship with my ex, aka my children's father, I just got completely turned off by sex. You know, I don't want to put him, you know, too much in the limelight or whatever the case may be. Whatever I needed to say about him in the past has already been said. But for me, it just was what was best for me. This is a journey that I was supposed to embark on years ago. Okay, I would say I was supposed to, but nah, like the time for me to really do it was now. And I just, you know, bottom line, what prompted it is I got turned off by sex, and that's what made my decision to, you know, abstain from sex. Now, I see people post different things, you know, like, oh, how much sex do a chick gotta have to say she don't want? How much D was she getting? This, that, and the third. It was never nothing like that. Now, I've never been a hoe, never been a jump off, but at the same time, I had a great sexual history. I have a great sex past. And, you know, that has nothing to do with the reason why. It all stemmed from my last relationship with my ex, aka my children's father. I just got disgusted by sex, turned off by it. And that's pretty much as far as I can go, you know, without giving you guys too much. Question number 2. How long have you been celibate? So right now I am going on a year and a half. Woo! Which is crazy. Never thought that, you know, I would be a year and a half and sticking to it. But that just goes to show you how turned off I was. You know what I mean? Now, if you want the exact date, now I know my exact date, but you know, I just feel like something should be private. You know what I mean? Even though I'm sharing this journey with you, I like to keep a little bit to myself. So I'm going to give you some details, but I'm not going to give you the tea. Okay, so with that being said, you know, just respect that privacy. But yeah, for the most part, I'm going on a year and a half and I'm super stoked about it. I did not see that happening anytime soon, you know, when I was in the beginning of my journey. You know what I mean? I remember when I was approaching a year, like, okay, I could do a year, but I don't know if I could do another year. And then after that year hit, it was like, oh, I can do another year. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it could definitely happen. Yeah, guys, I'm going on a year and a half. Question number 3. Is this the longest you've went without sex? Yes, this is the longest I've went without sex. So let me give you guys a little bit of tea, some history about me, right? Even though I had like a great sexual history, meaning I had a lot of sex back in my sex days, with, particular individuals, you know what I mean? For instance, my kids' fathers. I have 2 baby dads, in case y'all don't know. I had a lot of sex with them, okay? And just, guys that I was, really intimate with, had a lot of sex with them, had a lot of great sex. At the same time, in the same breath, I wasn't no stranger to going without sex either. A lot of times if I wasn't dating, I wasn't doing casual sex. So, I would say the longest prior to now that I went without sex is 10 months, or was 10 months. And that was something that was like regular to me. And then, for a couple of years out of the relationship that I was with my ex, he was locked up, you know what I mean? And I abstained from sex then as well. So I'm used to going like 10 months, 9 months, 7 months, 6 months. Like that's regular to me, okay? Like that's regular-ish. But this was definitely a milestone. Hitting 1 year was a milestone. You know what I mean? But going on a year and a half is even a bigger milestone. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the time frame. Have you been tempted? So yes, I have been tempted. With 2 different individuals, one being my kid's father, another being the guy that, I started talking to, you know what I mean? Like the only guy that I really talked to since me and my kid's father been apart. And yes, I've been very tempted. Situations got really heated, you know what I mean? We got really touchy-feely. But I have not had any oral sex. I have not gave any oral sex. Might have been throwing it back a little bit. Now, I have been very, very tempted, but at the same time, I overcame the temptation. I'm proud at how I handle it. I took it for what it was. I don't have no regrets. I felt like at the end of the day, the freak still lives inside of me, and it's good to know that she's still here. Okay. So I walked away proud of myself. I walked away control over all situations, and I walked away still celibate. So there you have it. How do you establish your boundaries? So for me, I would say like it definitely comes with knowing what you want. And the only way, and being assertive about that, and the only way you can really get to a place in life, in a journey such as this, where you know what you want, is you need time to get to know yourself on this level. So okay, I became a woman that I didn't recognize, right? Being in a relationship that I was with my kid's father, I started to become unrecognizable to myself. So when I got out of that relationship, I had to learn myself. And not only did I had to learn myself, because I was in this relationship with my ex for about 4-5 years on and off. You know what I mean? And I had to relearn myself. And then I had to learn a new version of myself, because now, before the relationship with my ex, I was a mother of 2. I lived my life a lot differently. I was a lot more free-spirited because I only had 2. Now I have 4 children, and I was pregnant 2 years in a row. So that put me on the back burner. And then I'm older now. So I had to learn the new version of myself outside of being in this relationship, right? Learning those boundaries is really learning myself and learning like what it is that I'm not going to go for, what it is that I really genuinely want in life. Once upon a time, there were occasions where I had like a sex partner that we would be friends with benefits. Nothing more, nothing less. I didn't want nothing more. There was no relationship, no questions asked. Look, come over. You coming over tonight? Like that's what your job is. You know what I mean? And you know, those years was back in my 20s, early 20s. On top of that, I'm not that woman anymore. I'm about to be 33 years old in April, Aries, period. So, you know, I had to learn myself being this being and learning what it is that I'm going to accept and what it is that I'm not going to accept. Like, because of my experiences that I was in, you know, within that last few years being with my ex, you know, I've been exposed to a lot where I can be traumatized by it. So red flags, that's a boundary thing for me. If I see 1 millisecond of red flag too early on, I'm not going to go with it. I will stop talking to you immediately. No questions asked. You feel on top of that, excuse the side boob, but y'all know how I be coming on here. But on top of that, it's just knowing that now I want a husband. I really want a husband. That's what I've been preparing myself for in the years that I was committed to my ex recently, and that didn't happen, you know. So I know that for me, the next individual that I want to be with is the man that wants to be with me for life. I don't want to just be throwing out my goods, you know what I mean? Because it may be goods to you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your goods to him. It's just, you know, for some guys, and I feel like that's my experience and that's how I came to this place. Some guys, a lot of guys, unfortunately, it doesn't matter how good your goods are. They can get good goods everywhere. You know what I mean? So like, you have to become above that. You know what I mean? So like, that's what it is for me right now. You know what I mean? Just knowing like what I'm not going to tolerate, and then setting the tone when you are dealing with somebody. Let those boundaries be known from the get-go. See, I'm very vocal about my celibacy journey. I'm very open with it. I have a celibacy ring. I talk about it on my channel. I talk about it on Instagram, on Facebook. So anybody that's technically seeking to pursue me, they're going to know almost immediately or before they pursue me that this is something that I am committed to. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I don't want to jump ahead, but let me see. Granted, with those boundaries, a lot of guys do feel like, and I know this based off of the couple of experiences that I had, you know, guys feel like they can take you and change you and, oh, I'm going to be the one to take her out of that, or I'm going to be the one to repop her cherry, or, you know, I'm going to be the one to get her back effing and all that. Like, nah, you got to have the mentality so strong where you're just like, it doesn't matter how heated this situation go. You know what I mean? Like, I may do a little mind games with you, you know what I mean? But it is not going to go there because I already knew that before the situation got heated. You know what I mean? You got to really stand firm. And in order to do that, you really need to take time to get to know yourself. And I took a lot of time to get to know myself. I didn't start talking to another man, start kissing and being passionate with another man. And passionate, don't get it twisted. I mean, just allowing another man to like touch my breast and, you know, feeling my ass or anything like that. Like, or kiss another man in years. You know what I mean? Like, I've been dealing with the same guy for years. So a new guy come along, you know what I mean? That didn't even happen till over a year later. So me knowing that, like, that's all the time that I needed to take time with myself, because it's like what they tell you in rehab, you know, when you go back out there, stay away from people, places, and things. Stay away from your triggers. Stay away from, you know, being in the comfort of something private. Now, if this man was something that was someone that I could see myself with, like, I was just talking to him. I don't consider, like, we went on a couple of dates here and there, and that was it. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't someone that I looked at like, oh, this could possibly be my husband. You know what I mean? Like, I may joke around and say some BS, but I knew off the rip, like, that's not my husband, because I feel like I'm going to know my husband definitely at least after the first date. You know what I mean? So, like, this is somebody that I already knew, that I've known since 2014, 15, you know, and we did talk back in the day, and we revisited and had a moment for the first time ever, and that was it. You know what I mean? So, like, before going into that situation, I knew that I can't have myself around, you know, I can't be secluded with a man if I'm not strong enough to turn a man down, even in the thick of passion and all of that. So that's pretty much where the boundaries come into place. You got to know that you're mentally capable of turning down and overcoming a very tempting situation. Like, okay, regardless of the party that's happening between your legs, because this is the most you've been touched in years or over a year or going on a year and a half, whatever the case may be, you got to know that if I get somehow alone and we had a lone moment together and things get heated and passionate between us, I can still say, no, 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 no. Nope, not there. And know why? Because I know the type of man that I want. And I know the type of man that I want inside me. And that ain't it. Okay? So moving along. Tips for dating while celibate. So we already talked about setting those boundaries. And I would just say, like, for me personally, dating while celibate, you know, I haven't been dating a bunch of people. Because for me, like, you know, like the guy that I went on a couple of dates with, like at the end of the day, he could have been a potential somebody in the future. You know what I mean? He got a lot going for himself. He's doing very well for himself. You know, he's a great father, very handsome, physically attractive, everything that I want, you know, on the outer surfaces. You know what I mean? As far as who he is, what he do, you know, but it's just things that let me know that he's not really ready for a woman like me, and I'm not ready, and I don't want a man like him, like overall. You know, it was really the fact that he told me that, you know, he has practiced celibacy with someone that he was with and that he gotten serious about. So that was the reason why I was open to like hanging out with him, because I'm like, you know, if anything do happen between us, at least I know that he's capable of, you know, committing to me if things got that serious between us. And that's why I was open to dating him. That's the only reason why. And this is the only guy that I went on a couple of dates with, you know what I mean, since my ex. So that was what turned me on. You know what I mean? It wasn't the attractiveness of him. It wasn't me knowing his occupation or anything like that, because I've been knew those things. Those things don't turn me on. It was knowing that he's capable of, you know, following suit with me. I asked him straight up, like, is that something that you would be willing to do again? And he said, oh, no doubt. You know what I mean? So knowing that, you know, it made it more safe, I guess, for me to agree to hang out with him, despite how tempting things got between us. You know what I mean? But just knowing that this man is capable of celibacy and practicing and going through it for someone that he cares about, even though we weren't on that level. But just knowing, like, if that was a level that we possibly would have grown to, I know that I can trust that he will do his best with me to try to keep that celibacy train going. That's what I'm looking for. Like, you know, and I know people be like, oh, you should be looking for anything. But when somebody approaches me, it's how is this person when it comes to knowing that a woman is celibate? How willing are you willing to go for this woman? You know what I mean? So for me to consider dating a guy, you know what I mean, on a casual conversation, you know, my celibacy comes out, because I need to let these suckers know from the beginning, like, you ain't getting none of this. I don't care how tempting it is, okay? I need to let them know. So the feedback that I get, you know what I mean, will tell me, is this person somebody that I could even hang out with? Just in case something did started to grow and blossom between us. Like, you know what I mean? The tips that I have for, you know, when it comes to being celibate and dating, you know, just that's the real thing you should look out for. Is like, is this person capable of abstaining with me? You know what I mean? Or sometimes you might run into a guy that's actually practicing it. I did talk to a guy for like 2 seconds last year who did abstain from sex and was practicing celibacy. Sex wasn't like a major thing with him. And unfortunately, that conversation between us lasted a week. But that was another reason why I was like open to having a conversation with him. You know what I mean? Because I knew that he was already celibate. You know what I mean? So like, those are the things that I'm looking for. I don't really want a man to have to stop being who they are because of me. It would be nice that they are already on that wave, or they're already exposed to it or open to that. Like, sex is not the end all when it comes to a relationship to them. That's not how it was with, you know, my ex, my kid's father. Sex is everything for him. He has a very bad lustful spirit. You know what I mean? So it's just that I don't want. I don't want a grown man that cannot control his emotions is a dangerous man. Control his sexual hormones, shall I say, is a dangerous man to be with. You know what I mean? So like, listen, what's the deal on a celibacy ring, and should I purchase a celibacy ring? Okay, so you guys, I have a celibacy ring. This is my celibacy ring. I got it like in the middle of my celibacy journey. It wasn't like a milestone when I got it. Like, it wasn't like a milestone month. I was 6 months in or a year in or anything like that. Like, I just randomly thought, like, you know, I was just really proud of myself and where I was at, you know, in my celibacy journey, and I wanted to reward myself. So it wasn't like, oh, this is an accomplishment month, or I made it to a year or anything like that. It wasn't anything like that. I got my celibacy ring because I was proud of myself, and I wanted something to symbolize, you know, the journey that I'm embarking on. You know what I mean? And I wanted something that when people see it, they will say like, oh, are you married? Are you this? Are you that? It's a conversation starter. And trust me, it started hella conversations. The more recent, you know, question that I got in public was when I was out with the guy that I was talking to, you know, for a little bit or whatever. We were out, and he had got up and went to the bathroom, and a chick came up to me, you know, she was complimenting me. She was like, oh, you look good, and you got this and that. She was like checking out my little labels, like, you know, whatever I had on or whatever. She was like, you know, you married? And my mom was like, hold on, sweetheart, I'm not married. And she was like, oh, well, your fiance. And I'm like, that's not my fiance. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I seen a ring. I said, yeah, it's a celibacy ring. And she was like, what is that? She didn't even know what a celibacy ring was. So I was proud to like tell her, like, no, sweetheart, I'm single. You know what I mean? Like, I'm single out here in these streets. You know, we're just hanging out, you know, because at that time, it wasn't even anything intense between us. He's just a friend that I knew for years, and we just decided to link up on my end. You know what I mean? So like, I'm like, nah, I'm chilling, you know, I'm single and, you know, just hanging out. That's it. But, you know, this ring symbolizes, you know, the journey that I have, and me telling her I haven't had sex in over a year. And she's just like, she was so amazed. She didn't even know that that was like really a thing. Now, let's not knock her for her ignorance, because unfortunately in the day and age in the world that we live in, as I stated in the beginning, sex is everywhere. Sex is even where I met her at. It's sex. You know what I mean? So like, just being that one to spark that into her brain and introduce that idea to her was everything to me. And that's the reason why I got this, for the symbolism, for the introductory, you know what I mean, for conversation starters in general. Okay. Should you purchase a celibacy ring? I feel like, you know, personally, that was a question that came up on my Facebook channel. On my Facebook page a few times. You know, like a few women, they're talking about, like, you know, getting a celibacy ring and, you know, rewarding itself. Heck yeah. You know, like, I got it to reward myself. I got it to symbolize, if you feel like, if you are 1 month in, if you are 2 months in, if you are 3 years in, and you feel like you want to reward yourself and purchase something because of the milestones that you have achieved with abstaining from sex, by all means, definitely do it. It's great. It's a great conversation starter. I would advise getting a ring. Like, I wanted something that kind of looks like, oh, what people would think, are you married? So I can say, no, I'm celibate. You know what I mean? Or, you know, get a ring that stands out, you know, something that will spark somebody to ask you, like, oh, what does this symbolize? Or what is this? Or, you know, something that stands out. Like, I got real diamonds, you know what I mean? And you can buy good rings for cheap, you know what I mean? I do plan on upgrading my ring either when I reach a year and a half or my 2-year mark. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking I should wait till my 2-year mark, because that would be big. Okay, so I don't know, but, you know I'm like itching to purchase, you know, an upgrade, and I want it even bigger. I want it even drastic, you know, like, because I'm used to wearing rings on my fingers, and, you know, I was technically supposed to be married, and that didn't happen. So it was like, you know what, let me do something for myself. Let me buy myself my own diamonds. It didn't cost much. It's not like a $15,000 ring or anything like that. Like $200. I don't really remember, but it cost me like $200 from JCPenney's. And yeah, all I seen is real diamonds, and I was like all for it. And I really like JCPenney's stones. Their clarity on it is really good. Unfortunately, you can't tell because of the lighting and the quality of my camera phone, but this thing shines bright like the diamond it is. So, you know, that's all I gotta say in regards to that. So if you feel like, you know, you want to reward yourself or get something to symbolize your journey and your strength, go ahead, do it. Advantages and disadvantages of staying from sex. Ugh, child. Okay, so I don't know. For a woman like me, I don't masturbate. Do I get horny? Yeah. Do I do anything about it? No. Nah. I don't play with myself. I don't put my fingers down there. I've never been that type of chick. That stuff doesn't turn me on. If I'm going to have sex or be sexually involved with someone, I need to have that contact with another man. I need it to go, you know, full throttle. You know what I mean? So for me, I would say that is the disadvantage, because when I'm horny, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, you know, and it doesn't happen all the time. I'm not horny all the time because that's not like my mentality. But lately, you know, I would just pray about it. You know what I mean? If I'm like in the midst of it, you know, I just ask God, you know, I rebuke it in the name of Jesus. And I just ask God to keep me solid. You know what I mean? Keep me and get my mind off of that. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much how it is. I'm not into porn or anything like that. So yeah, I would say that's a disadvantage for me. And I feel like for a lot of men and women who practice celibacy or abstain from sex, that would be an issue for them, because you're going to want you're going to get horny at the end of the day, especially if you've been exposed to sex. You know what I mean? But at the same time, me personally, I don't think if you masturbating is going to keep you from running into the wrong arms and losing yourself into the wrong man or woman, I don't think it's an issue with someone masturbating. I feel like to each his own. But then sometimes from, you know, stories that I heard or whatever the case may be, you know, people that masturbate, it may entice them to go seek that actual real deal. You know what I mean? So I would say at the end of the day, you got to be careful with that, depending on what type of person you are, you know you. But I feel like for most people, I'm not like most people when it comes to masturbation and stuff. Like, I definitely can't relate in that situation. But I feel like most people, you know, they do that on a regular. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, that satisfies them, and that's all they need, and they don't need to run into somebody else. So it really just depends on the person. But that can be a disadvantage, just being horny and, you know, being a woman like me and you don't masturbate. So you got to like really pray and get mind over matter and move past it quick. You know what I mean? Another disadvantage would be that you're going to find somebody. There's going to be somebody that, you know, won't F with you because you're not putting out. You know what I mean? I asked a question on my channel yesterday or a couple days ago, you know, asking guys, like, how can you not respect a woman that is telling you she's practicing celibacy? Like, real talk, do you respect a woman that practice celibacy? And, you know, not too many answered it or said anything, but the ones that did, they gave me, of course, they said they do. And they said they not, like, a couple of them was saying, you know, I'm not going to lie. You know, sometimes you feel like she BS and she's just trying to play me. And I do feel like women do say, oh, I'm not having sex, just so that they can say that to the guy and play the guy or whatever. My bad, guys. My camera got full. My phone memory. There you go. But just to get back to what I was talking about as far as the disadvantage of abstaining from sex, yeah, it goes there. Just some guys might feel like you're BSing. Some guys may not be looking for a woman that is, they want to have sex, So the advantage of it is that, you wing out very quickly who to deal with and who not to deal with. But yeah, so like that's the good thing, because if you're serious about, abstaining from sex, then the guys that like are like pressuring or trying to pressure you or move there after knowing what your boundaries are is going to turn you off pretty quickly. So you're not going to be wasting your time with guys or anything like that. That's an advantage. And then it keeps a lot of guys that don't have the mentality, oh, I can break her, I could change her, or I'm the guy that, like a guy said on my post, he said that, he's usually the guy that breaks their little abstinence. And I'm like, oh, that's because they was lying. If it's that easy, like, trust me, I done been in the thick of temptation. It's not easy. But if you're really mentally serious about it, like, ain't nobody can break that. Can't nobody, no matter how big or, whatever, like, can't nobody change that for me. Why are you spying on me? Scaring the hell out of me. He scared me. Bye. So yeah, the advantages are like, you pretty much, get all the guys that aren't really for you out the way pretty quickly. You recognize signs pretty easily. You're not like dismayed. You're not going to be moved by sex because sex is not in the picture. One of the biggest reasons why I decided to abstain from sex is because sex complicates things. Like, that's bottom line. Sex complicates things, and it complicates things, period, because it's with the wrong person. You know what I mean? Sex is not intended to be, this is me coming from like a biblical point, aspect or whatever. And everybody don't believe in the Bible or whatever the case may be, and that's fine. But for those of you who do, a biblical aspect, sex is not intended for everyone. It's intended for your husband and your wife. You know what I mean? So if you are out giving it to the wrong people that are neither your husband or wife, you know what I mean? It's just going to complicate things. And that's where people started throwing out the word soul ties. I'm not looking for complication. I need a clear mind. And I don't need my attachment to you to be strong, not based off of really, what we built emotionally, but based off of sex. Realize how quickly you feed into, like how quickly a woman can fall in love, even if she was like not on that type of wave. You know what I mean? How quickly you can fall in love if the chemistry is right. You know what I mean? And y'all have sex. So you thinking that, you can have chemistry with somebody. It's people that you can bond with on so many different levels that are relatable, or just a lot of things that will spark, your chemistry bug or whatever, you know what I mean? But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the person for you. You know what I mean? So like our mind will play tricks on us, and sex will definitely have those mind games into work. So have you thinking that you're in love with him and he's in love with you, and it's all just sex. It's all a lust. I used to tell my baby dad all the time, like, you don't love me, like you lust after me. And that's where this whole celibacy trait came from, because I knew that man didn't desire me mentally, emotionally. He only desired me sexually like he did any other woman. Even if your husband desire you, he is supposed to desire you. That man didn't desire me as a husband and a wife. He desired me like he desired the next bitch. And that's period. And that's why I couldn't, like, you know what I mean? That's why I'm at where I'm at today. Because if a man is going to desire me, he needs to desire me. I don't want a man to lust after me. I need a man to desire me, because that's what he wants. Okay? Because he wants everything about me. Because everything about me entices him. The sound of my voice. You know what I mean? When he see my face, when I start laughing, when I smile. You know what I mean? When I cry. You know what I mean? Like, I need a man that's so in tune with me that That's what entices him. It's not just because I got a fat ass or, big ass breasts, or because I'm naked, or because I got this color lipstick on, or because I wore this shirt today, or because my hair is like that. I don't want a man that desires the outside of me. I'm not going to say desires, that lust the outside of me. I want a man that desires every aspect about me. So until I get that, honey, let's move on. So, any advice on coping if you break that vow to yourself? Yes. So there's a strong probability, you know what I mean? There's a strong probability after a certain amount of time, at some point, because I've done been down this road numerous of times. Okay, like I said, I've been trying to go down this road for years. Like the earliest memory that I have of me trying to abstain myself and practice celibacy dates as far back as like 2009. Okay, and that's when I stopped putting so much pressure on me. I'm a part of the celibacy group on Facebook. And a young lady just posted yesterday or today that, she feels really bad because, she slipped up yesterday. She fell into temptation and she just feels horrible. And she's like, I know, everybody makes mistakes, but I feel so bad. And let me just tell you this. If you are going to decide to abstain from sex, okay? Now, the Christian groups, they didn't like when I said this. But you cannot do it for God. What? Did she just say that? I just said that. You cannot do it for God because you know why? Because I done been there. Okay? You cannot do it for God. If you really want to get to a place where you abstain from sex and you are on this celibacy journey, you have to go to God. But you cannot make any promises to God. God, I promise I'm not going to have sex until I'm married. You cannot make any promises to yourself. I'm really on this thing where I changed my mind. Like, oh, maybe, I'm going to wait till I'm married, or I'm going to wait till I meet the right guy. Like, whatever it is, whenever I do have sex, whenever that time comes, I'm not going to feel no type of way about it. I'm not going to beat myself about it because it's what I chose to do. You know what I mean? So like, don't give yourself the pressure of thinking like, oh, I promise you, God, I'm not going to have sex with it. Because as soon as you break that promise, and trust me, there's a high probability that you may. When that happens, you are going to condemn yourself so much. Okay? And it's going to be beyond what God has already forgave you for. You know what I mean? And that you're going to beat yourself up so much because of you breaking your little vow to yourself. It's going to tear you up, because not to yourself, but the vow that you made to God, it's going to tear you up so bad because you feel like you disappointed God in so many levels. You know what I mean? Like you really was trying, and then look, this is where you're at. You cannot go in the celibacy train with that type of mentality. Just do the best you can. We, at the end of the day, are human, and our flesh, unfortunately, responds to this world. You know what I mean? So that's why I say, you need to give yourself some time and get to know yourself, so you know that when it comes to the heat of, and I really didn't know this. You know what I mean? It's easy to stay single when you don't have a guy in your place. Single. It's easy to abstain from sex when you're not in a relationship, when you're not seeing anyone, when you haven't been dating. Like, it's so easy. But when I started getting intimate and close, really close, talking to guys, talk about my ex and that guy I was telling you about, that's when things got hard, and that's when things got real to me. You know what I mean? And you really have to have mind over matter. If I could have literally said, fuck it. And even if you do say, fuck it, you know what I mean? And excuse my French, but that's some real tea. Even if you do say, fuck it, that guy got to have enough respect for you to say, nah, because I know what kind of journey you on. And I don't want you to put that on me. You know what I mean? That's what you're looking for. Okay, so at the end of the day, if something like that happens and you do end up, breaking yourself and beating yourself up. Like, just don't do it. You know, the greatest thing about God, you can repent. Now, personally for me, I'm not doing it. It's not a promise to God. Me and God have an understanding. God is the reason why I'm able to do this right now. But I didn't make any promises to God because I don't want to feel what I used to feel back in 2009 when I used to break those promises. And it seems to me like it's easier to keep that vow, being that this is the longest that I have been on this journey. You know what I mean? It's easier to keep that vow when you do it for yourself. You're not doing it to please your church. You're not doing it to please him or her. You're doing it because this is genuinely a decision that you made to yourself and decided, I'm just tired of the BS. And I feel like that's what God had to bring me through. So like, I've been praying about it, you know, over the last couple of years, especially being in a relationship with a guy who's has the spirit of lust that's out of this world. I really started praying about it, and he knew these things. You know, he knew what I wanted. He knew that I wanted to wait and, you know, do things differently, but he wasn't off that way because he got the spirit of lust. You know what I mean? So I was praying about it, and God knew my heart. God knew what I wanted. And I made that very clear to God. And I done been through so many type of storms. I'm happy that I walked away STD free. Like, seriously. So with that being said, you know, God will bring you through what you need to go through to put the disgust in your mouth. You know what I mean? The taste and, you know, just detestable. You know what I mean? Like, that's what God did to me, to the point where I don't even care to have sex anymore. And it gives me so much empowerment because I have the power. I feel like you give the guy the power when you give him your body, because us women are emotional, so immediately we get weakened. And you may be strong for a little bit because you may be like that type of bitch that, like, you know, run around here, man, I got these niggas locked. But then it be that one you come across that you cannot get unlocked. Okay, so be mindful of those things. You know what I mean? Don't put yourself in a situation where you know you're not ready for. You know what I mean? If you're all the way across the board not ready to date, don't do it. Do not do it. Continue to heal. Continue to seek God. Continue to learn you and, you know, self-development and all of that. All that great stuff. You know what I mean? Do what you need to do. You know what I mean? Get on your right path and know you and be confident in you and love you so much that the thought of somebody using your body for their gain disgusts you. Because that's where I'm at. Okay? That's period. And at the end of the day, like I said, if I have sex tomorrow, I'm not going to beat myself up about it because that's what I chose to do. A man cannot break me down to my knees and make me feel like, damn, I should have never done that. And I'm not there. So if I have sex tomorrow, I'm going to be proud. Okay? Like, damn, that shit felt good. You know what I mean? And if I feel like, okay, that's all I needed, I'm going to go another year. I'm going to go another year and a half. Then that's just you. You know what I mean? Own what you do. You know what I mean? Don't be, oh my God, I can't. Like, whatever happens, happens. Like I said, when I got in those heated situations, you know what I mean? I guess that's my sense of masturbation because I don't masturbate. So yeah, I got in some heated situations, you know, where we touched each other. I wasn't like doing too much, you know. But, you know, I wasn't giving oral sex or anything like that. But, you know, I got in situations where, you know, I could have been this close, but it's just like my mind just wasn't, I'm not there mentally. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel safe with a man. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that like, oh, I don't trust men. Like, I just haven't met the man that made me feel safe enough to break down my wall, to spread my legs. But am I going to be opposed to it when that time comes? Who knows? Like I said, I would like to save myself for marriage. That is the ultimate goal. You know what I mean? And I'm going to do my best to do that. But if I slip up, I'm slipping up with the guy that I'm serious about, with the guy that I trust, the guy that I feel safe with. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. You know what I mean? If you feel like you have a problem, or you feel like you cannot control yourself, and you feel like you haven't healed, don't put yourself in those situations. If you feel like you're going to beat yourself, like, I know I'm going to be messed up if I break this vow to God or myself. Don't put yourself in those situations and ish go down, and now you beating yourself up and you condemning yourself, and that goes against what God done already forgave you for after you repented, and you still condemning yourself. Don't do it. Okay? The next question I have, question number 8, does it get easier? Yes. As I mentioned earlier, you know what I mean? Like, when I was within my first year, I've said so many times to God, I'm like, God, I don't know if I can go another year. I don't know. This is, I don't know. But after that year, I was like, I can actually see me going another year. And that's the beauty of it. Once I got into those thick situations where I was tempted and I could have changed my way of thinking in that moment and had all types of sex up and down and back and forth. Once I overcame those situations, I was like, oh yeah, I can definitely do this another year. Because now I'm faced with my adversity. You know what I mean? Because now I know what it feels like to be turned on, for that interest to be sparked. I know where I'm at now. I know how this is going to go. You know what I mean? I got a little bit control over this thing. So now I'm like, yeah, I'm the one in control. Before, it was the men in control because they had your body. They don't have your body, so they don't control your mind. They don't control your body. And you got to keep that in mind. If you can't divert the situation, you're not ready for it. It does get easier. And in the midst of it getting easier, you may come across some weak moments. You know what I mean? But, don't put the pressure on yourself. Embrace who you are. If that happens, then you know what? Just boss up and move on. Like, damn. Man, wish I could have went another year, but well. You know what I mean? Move on. Don't stay stuck in that moment. You did it. It felt good. What, you was crying the whole time? Like, if a guy could get you in a point where it's like that and you're crying, like, don't even do that. If you gonna cry about it afterwards, then what the hell? Like, come on, stop faking. You know what I mean? Like, you faking. Number 11. How common is it for women your age to practice celibacy? So, interesting enough, like I said earlier, I'm going to be 33 years old. And when you're about my age, you done lived your life in the 20s, okay? Your early 20s. And, when you get about mid to late 20s, you're like really starting to think, especially when you have children, you want a family. I already had a family at that age. You know what I mean? And you're thinking marriage and you're thinking longevity. So for someone my age, it is very, very common. Now, my little brother, he's like 21, 20. No, he's like 22, 23. His wife is like 22, 23. They just got married in October. They both were virgins when they got married. Now, that's uncommon. Someone in their age bracket that ends up marrying each other and they're both virgins. Like, they're the only people I know that are like that. Okay. And it was so beautiful. But for me, in regards to me and my age group, women at my age, we if we're not married by now, we want that. You know what I mean? Women like us, you know what I mean? Women that see marriage in their future and that wants that desires a husband, a loving father. You know what I mean? We want that. So it's not uncommon for women in my age bracket to be like, yeah, I'm settling down. You know what I mean? It's not uncommon. It's more common than you think. And a lot of, like, from what I see that's on my Facebook page, there's a nice group of us that are celibate. There's someone that's over 2 years. There's someone, that did a year and a half, and then, she backslid a little bit. I'm not really meaning backslide, but she broke her little, whatever. And, she's back on that journey again. There are women that did a year. There are women that do it for different reasons. You know what I mean? So like, but they're all around my age, and it's not uncommon. And most of them are not even into church. You know what I mean? So like, you don't need to do it for religion-based purposes. But if you do, that is great, and stand by it. Do you judge those who are not celibate? No. Like, I remember somebody made a comment one day recently. I don't even know what she said particularly, but it was like in the lines of, like, yeah, because I don't like when people think like, oh, they think they better than us because they don't have sex. No, that's not what it is. Okay, let me tell you something. That I think that I'm better than you because I don't have sex, but when it comes to relationships, I feel very empowered. Okay, because I'm not allowing a man to take advantage of me. This has nothing to do with you. So if I brag about the fact that I'm over a year and a half celibate, that's my business. Let me have that, because that's an accomplishment for me. If you've been effing all your life, be great and be the best at it. You know what I mean? That's not my business. I don't look at people and be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I genuinely love everyone who embrace themselves. If you're going to be a free spirit, be free spirit. Use your condoms. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't sleep with other people, men. Be a free spirit. You know what I mean? Don't be a hoe. You know what I mean? Have sex, live your life, and own that ish. But when it comes to me and my celibacy, you better believe I'm very proud about it. I'm going to boast that, just like anybody do any of their accomplishments in life, whether it's employment, whether it's a marriage, a baby, I just bought a house or whatever. I'm going on 2 years celibate. You know what I mean? Like, that's an accomplishment for a woman that's a part of her goals. You know what I mean? So like, if it intimidates you because I am proud of myself about not effing over or not effing with the guy that would have effed me over, then maybe you effing the wrong nigga. How about that? But no, I don't judge anyone in regards to that. No, I'm not going to judge you because you're having sex. I'm not even paying attention to anybody that don't have sex. My goal is, and my mission is, when it comes to me, being open with my celibacy journey, is that women that are already mentally there, that are telling themselves like, I want to do this. I want to be that voice. I want to be that, I want to be that window to them. I want them to have a little peek into my life and experience what I go through, so they can decide for themselves, is this something that they can do? Is this something that's for them? If it don't got nothing to do with you, like, praise me, compliment me, give me my props, and keep it moving. I'm not going to look at you differently. I do look at people differently that I see still constantly abuse themselves by running into the hands of the wrong man, because it hurts as a woman to watch other women go through ish that I went through. And all you have to do is to change it is, just love you more. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to be down on you. I'm here to encourage you. Boss up. Step it up. Like, just give it a break. Give it a break, because you don't know how to think when you letting niggas get your cookie. You know what I mean? I was with a nigga. I didn't even recognize myself. You know what I mean? So like, come on now. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? I don't look at you. I'm not going to judge you. But you know what I mean? I am going to be your sister. And I am going to keep it 100 with you. You know what I mean? And that's period. Just like anybody would keep it 100 with me that is in my life or around me or whatever the case may be. But anything coming from me, I'm going to keep it 100. Whether I know you or not. And that's period. 13. How do you know it's time to commit, or reasons to consider celibacy? If you feel like you don't recognize yourself, if you can't think properly, you know what it's like. You know what I mean? You know this nigga got you effed up. You know y'all don't got nothing going for y'all relationship. You know what I mean? Like, like there's nothing going for, that man don't desire you. emotionally. You know what I mean? You know, it's just sex. That may be a time to consider celibacy. When you know you've been giving it up to Tom, Dick, and Harry, and you're not doing it because you're free spirited. You're doing it because you're trying to heal. But that's not how you heal. You know what I mean? How you heal is allowing the D to fall back from you. You know what I mean? How you heal is from saying no to the dick. Period. You know what I mean? Like, how you heal is by getting to know yourself, loving yourself. When you don't recognize you and you look in the mirror because you allow this man to treat you some type of way, and you know when he demands sex from you and you're not even feeling it, honey, last days of having sex wasn't great. Okay? It wasn't great at all. And coming from somebody that had a great sex life, that's when I knew for me it was time to stop, because I'm not even here. And this man is a man that I was in love with. You know what I mean? So if me being in love with you and your penis no longer do what it used to do, mind you, I've been having sex with that penis for years. Okay? Like 15 plus years. If your penis can't get me to do what it used to do because we're so toxic, it's time to maybe take a step back. That's pretty much it. And like, how long should you do that? Is how long you feel like you want to. Don't put a date on it. Don't put on, until I'm married, because I don't want you to be disappointed in case you slip up. You know what I mean? Just until you are ready mentally. Are you capable of handling another heartbreak because this nigga done stuck his dick inside of you, and you know, now he got the control, now he got the power? Are you ready for that? If you're not ready to turn down a man that can work and that's used to slinging his penis everywhere and getting what he want out of females, then just take a break, take a step back. Take a step back. Do it. Okay? Get you some support groups. You know, I go on Facebook, freaking Instagram, just type in celibacy. You know what I mean? Celibacy journeys or celibacy this. Go on YouTube, type celibacy. Get you a support group. You know, follow those pages that are like the celibacy group or whatever the case may be. I am celibate. There's a bunch of different celibacy groups. Get you a support group. You know what I mean? And not so much, not just, you know, biblical and spiritual based, because everybody is not doing it for biblical and spiritual reasons. You know what I mean? But get you, you know, a support group that is going to help encourage you. You get to read other people's thoughts. You know, you get to encourage other people. Everybody, it's not, even though it's common, it's not like you're going to walk into somebody today and say, oh yeah, well, I practice celibacy too, or I practice celibacy too. But when you become a part of that support group, you learn that you're not the only one out there, and how society tends to look at people like us, like, oh, we think we're better than them, or, oh, I don't know how they do that, or they crazy as hell. In your support group, you don't have that. And you got thousands of people that are on the same wave as you, that can understand. You know what I mean? Like me and my girls on Facebook, somebody said, girl, next time I have sex, it's going to fall off the bone. Like, it was hilarious to me, because if you are not having sex, that shit means everything. Like, that issue was like, you can relate. Nobody can't relate to that if they not having sex. But just having somebody that, you know, they say that and you can laugh at that because you know how real it is, because you are going through the same journey with them. Like, that's what you need. Be open about your celibacy journey to help other people. You know what I mean? You're going to have people that try and clown you, that, oh, think you stuck up, that going to look at you different. You're going to have niggas that's going to turn you away, niggas that you might be interested in or whatever the case may be. They're going to turn you away because you're not trying to give it up. But that don't mean that that's what you go with. You stay true to you, and you stay true to you only. Get you a support group. And that's period. So that's like pretty much all I have today. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. If this was somewhat informative or helpful or encouraging to you, please, 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 please give me a thumbs up, like it, subscribe, because this is a journey, not just for me, but for you. You know what I mean? And I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real with you, okay? And that's on period, okay? But please continue to, follow this journey of mine. I will create a playlist because I will be doing other videos surrounding this. And just keep a lookout for it, all right? So, anywho, so much for tuning in. It's your girl, Chrissy, and I'm tapping out with the fab sign. Peace and love, love and harmony, and be blessed. Yes.